going to be a kind of brief chat about various bits and pieces, like what it is, what some of the kit is. Most of it was billed as how to kind of look for and find large animals and kind of video them, photograph them or whatever. All right. However, look at the audience. I think we can we can go off piste if you want to. If you've got any questions about a thing as we go in, we'll just kind of chat about it, I reckon. So there you go. Scuba, that's what it stands for. You probably were aware of that. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the kit, but I've got a few bits and pieces here. I didn't bring everything in. But we have got these basic things that you are going to need. First of all, this thing, this jacket, it's called a BCD, or Buoyancy Control Device. The kind of idea is that you can inflate or deflate this thing, right? And the kind of classic novice thing to think is, okay, well, you inflate it, and which way are you going to go? You're going to go upwards, right? But actually, you put air in, actually go down, because...
Joe, it looks heavier than you.
Pardon?
It looks heavier than you.
Yeah, it is fairly heavy. I mean, you've got to remember, you've got a big, basically, cylinder of air on your back, so that's going to be buoyant. Yeah, so you need something to get down there. I mean, these things in here, you can't see them, but you've got these things for your lead weights to get you down there, all right? And also, salt water makes you more buoyant as well, so you do need extra weight to get down. So the idea is, this thing, you get your weight sorted out, you deflate, obviously you do need to deflate to go down, but then as you get down to depth, when I'm talking about depth, talking like between 15 and 20 metres, you then need to actually put a little bit of air in your jacket to keep everything neutrally buoyant. Because the whole idea with scuba diving is basically you want to try and use as little as your air as possible, for obvious reasons. And if you can go with a kind of profile like this through the water, horizontal, then you're going to have less drag, so therefore you're going to use less energy, therefore you're going to use less air. And it's surprising how much difference it makes. So if you're like super overweighted, you tend to kind of be like this in the water, and then there's a massive surface area, right? So it is quite important that you get it right. Believe it or not, beginners tend to end up being massively overweight, all right, because you get drilled into, I don't know if anyone knows about this, you get drilled into the fact that one of the big issues of scuba diving and how you're going to cause yourself grief is coming up too fast. So when you get down, basically obviously the pressure increases massively, so more gases get absorbed into the bloodstream, all right, and then when you come back up, those gases are going to come out, and if you're not careful, you get basically bubbles going in the bloodstream, and then that's what the vent is. So you have to come up very, very slowly and let that kind of stabilise. Right, so you tend to get people very overweighted at the start because they're terrified of popping up. All right, so that's what your BCD is. You actually don't need one. I discovered this when I took the students to Egypt a few years ago. Mine actually broke, and it was fine. It tends to be okay if you are built like me, i.e. very skinny, because I don't need hardly any weight to go down. I'm a sinker. Yeah, I'm a sink. All right, so if you don't really need that, then you don't really need to play around with the air too much. Actually, you can get away without it. Yeah, I'm a sinker. Yeah, it's handy for diving. It's not so good for swimming. The other thing is the tank. You can see it's aluminium or steel. Obviously, you will probably be aware that's going to make a difference to your buoyancy as well. Yeah, if you've got a steel tank, you're going downwards. All right, and then aluminium, of course. Less weight. And then you've got this thing. There's a bit of kit. This is your regulator. Because the gas that's obviously on your back is compressed, and you don't really want that coming out at a rate of knots into your face. So you have one of these little things which basically regulates the gas flow. So this connects up to your high pressure, and you kind of pop that in your gob. And you will notice that there is two of these. So the idea being if one goes a bit pear-shaped, then clearly you can use the other one. And also, you may also be aware that when you're diving, you should always go in pairs. So the idea is if someone else runs out of air, you can plug them in. I'll talk more about that later on. On this side, you've also got things that are pretty important, such as your gas pressure. Yes, you'll be wanting to know that, because, of course, you don't want to be stuck down there with no gas, and, of course, your depth. Now, one of the other things is, without getting into this into too much detail, the kind of general recommendation is that if you have a full tank, you should kind of be on the surface with a quarter tank. Yeah? Because it's no good kind of being at 20 metres and then realising you're about to run out of air, because you can't do that quick. You have to slowly. All right? And when you're doing your training, you actually have a load of tables that you have to learn, right, to work out how long you can stay at certain depths. All right? So obviously, the deeper you are, the less time you can stay there, right, because it takes you, it's not the fact that it's deep that's the issue, it's the fact that it takes you a longer time to get back up. So you have to go very, very slowly to make sure you don't get However, these days, unsurprisingly, you can use little gadgets that will do it all for you. You can get one of these little things. Right, this is basically a die computer, and it means that all the tables that you then learn, you don't have to remember. It just tells you, there's a little readout that says what your air is, and basically how long you're allowed to stay at certain depths. So that's a very useful piece of kit. So that's the kit. Right. So now, quick history, sort of brief history of my diving stuff. This is sea surface temperature. You'll see why I've put that on there in a sec. This is where I learned to dive, over there. Any prizes for knowing where that is? Go on, Mark. This is your territory. You've been out that way, haven't you? Nearly. Yeah, Fiji, absolutely. Yeah. All right. So I learned in Fiji, which was a very nice place to learn to dive. Basically, I happened to be on travelling around the world trip, and that was our maths worked out that was the cheapest place to learn that we were going. So that's what we learned. There's me, having just qualified. Look at that. And my lovely wife. And now I've done quite a lot of dive trips.
Hang on, that's the man with the hair.
Yeah. That's me. That's me, yeah. There.
That's the hobo-looking fella.
This is my face. All right. Yeah. Catherine's not impressed with that picture, but hey, I think I came off worse than her.
So young-looking, Joe. So young-looking.
But it was, a while ago now. Was it 2003? All right, so a while ago. So since then, I've been to all these places and had a little look around. So New Zealand, Australia, Indonesia, various bits of Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Red Sea many times, South Africa, also near Tobago, Cuba, Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica, and yeah, that's that. So I've been around a little bit. But what I'm going to talk to you now about is about why I chose some of these places, really. And as time has gone on, I've kind of realised that you can maximise your chance of seeing certain things if you want to. So this is what I kind of built it as, looking for big things, right? So sharks, crocodiles, and the like. And there are a certain kind of criteria that you can look for if you want to go and find these things. For example, right, some of these things, like a plankton bloom, you obviously get in the UK, and you're probably aware that we get big things coming to us, right, because of plankton blooms, such as basking sharks and such like. However, I tend not to get in the water with them just because it's very cold. All right, and as you probably noticed from that previous map, all those dots were very much in the middle section. I'm not good in the cold. So plankton blooms, that's when you basically just get large amounts of plankton due to various reasons, such as currents, temperatures, things like that. The Maldives is particularly good for them. You can tell this picture is taken of a plankton bloom. A couple of reasons. Number one, the background is a kind of greeny colour rather than a blue colour, right? Plankton blooms obviously draw in big creatures such as Manta Ray, such as whale sharks, anything that feeds on plankton. But your issue is, because there's loads of plankton, you can't see very far, right? So again, the photographers will realise that that's taken with a wide-angle lens. Yeah, you can tell by the fact it's very curved. Yes, so that Manta Ray was about there, right? Because you have to be that close to be able to actually get a clear picture, right? I mean, this is when you get a really big plankton bloom, you're talking about visibility that it can be better down Swanage. Yeah, I mean these things can be really, really murky, but you do get the big stuff. And this is a place called Hanifaru. I say it's famous in the world of diving, as somewhere where there is regular plankton blooms. These things come in almost, daily, to be honest, at certain tide times. Right, so if you know when plankton blooms are like to be, then that's one thing you can do. Often they coincide with phases of the moon as well. So if you know what the moon's doing, you can kind of time trips as well. So that's plankton blooms. Deep water upwellings. What that is where you get, unsurprisingly, deep water, but cold deep water tends to be very nutrient rich for various reasons, like stuff falls upon all the rest of it. All right, let's not go into the biology, but yes, right, nutrient rich, we should call it. But if you have a situation where you've got a very, very deep ocean, right, and you've got surface winds that basically take away the warmer water, you can then obviously get the cold nutrients coming up. And again, you can kind of predict where these are going to be, which means that if you look at this is a place in Borneo, a place called Sipadan, which is very famous in the kind of diving world as being one of the best places to go. You can see, yeah, there's going to be stuff there. All right, you've clearly got very deep water. All right, just surrounding this tiny island. It's about, I don't know, about 2 or 3 kilometres wide. This little pinpoint. So you know you're going to get big stuff. Whereas on the Bull, which is I've stayed there as well, you get hardly anything. Well, I mean, you get different things. So you get very small creatures. It's a very different environment. So it brings in huge shoulder fishes. So whenever you get these deep water islands, they are jackfish, right? A good indication that you're going to have something going on there. Other things, currents. Current is the biggie, and this is a bit of a problem for the photographer, as you can imagine. Right, strong currents bring in big things. Strong currents are a pain in the neck, right? Because you're scooting off at a rate of knots. There are ways around it. One of these, for example, this is a reef hook. You basically attach this to your BCD, all right? You're kind of on the reef, you find a useful looking piece of rock, hook that under, stick some air in your jacket, that goes because you go upwards, all right? And then of course you're just sat there bobbing away whilst your regulator's rattling like that and you're trying not to lose it. So they're quite handy. Certain parts of the world don't let you have them. For example, the Red Sea, you're not allowed to use those just because they've got a lot of soft coral, which can obviously easily get damaged by people hacking away. But when the coral's harder, they're kind of invaluable. Indonesia particularly, you really, really do need them, otherwise you're off. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So strong currents, again, same sort of things. They're bringing in nutrients, so that's not great. Well, it's okay picture, but you can't really see it that well. You can often get big schools of sharks. A kind of standard profile is that you would need to basically get down as quick as you can, all right? Because of course, if you've got strong current, it's going to wash you away. Get down to where the reef is, usually around 20 metres, and hang on for dear life for however amount of time your air says, and then up you go. That's that one, and then this one. Now, most of the pictures that you will ever see in magazines, you know, that look nice and are beautiful pictures of sharks, unfortunately, or well, depending on your opinion, are because people are feeding them, right? There's no two ways about it. You get very nice pictures. How you feel about it, I don't know. I mean, that shark is with a very wide angle lens. That's about there. Over to opinion. I don't know. As you can see, I've been to some shark feeds, but I don't know.
Is that a cage?
Pardon? No. That was where was that? That was off the south coast of Cuba. It's just a place where we got a guide to basically take us down a metal box and get involved with sharks, and they do.
You don't feed them yourself, it's a kind of...
No, that particular one. I mean, you do get, you know, real proper over-the-top
People who
feeding. Yeah, for example, the Caribbean, the Bahamas particularly is well known for kind of a big show where you walk under the ocean, a lovely circle, and a bloke comes out and puts on like shark with legs, all this kind of stuff, which I'm not a mega fan of really. I mean, these guys that I was with, I may talk about them later on, but they're big into conservation as well, and I was kind of okay with what they were doing. But I think you do have to be a bit careful about whether it's actually messing with the ecosystem or not. But it's really difficult to tell sometimes. Because of course, on one hand you've got occasion feed, on the other hand you've got, well, if they do, it brings in tourists. If you bring in tourists, it protects the ecosystems, then you get wrecked doing other things. You know, it's a difficult one really. But like I say, you get currently pretty pictures, so most of them kind of look like that. And of course, the last and most obvious one, in some ways, is that. Right, sometimes you just happen to be just, you know, bimbling along, not really expecting anything, and you turn around and there's that coming at you, and you're like, and you quickly take a pic, and
Is that the actual
9
noise you
times
make?
out of 100 it doesn't work. Say it
Is that
again?
the actual noise you make when that happens?
Pretty
You're
much.
like, that, you know,
Yeah,
like
that's
yourself.
Yeah. All right, so, you know, luck is a major factor. Right, okay, so that's why you get these things. What I'm just going to talk about now is a few particular cases of, sort of incidents that I've been involved in. So the first one I'm going to talk about is a place called Pulau Sanggalaki. Pulau is the Indonesian for island, so you can see a lot of things with this. So I'm assuming your geography is pretty decent. We're in Indonesia now. This is Borneo, right? Northern Borneo, so Malaysia, is very, very well travelled. And that's where that island sit-down was, and we had a little look there. But before we went, I, for some stupid reason, did a load of digging on the internet to try and find somewhere obscure to go and look at, and discovered this place called Sanggalaki. There it is, down there, in Indonesian Borneo. And I discovered that it is one of the few places in the world that we could afford to get to. the trip there was a little less than fun. Basically, this was really easy. You fly in up here and you get across here, and it's no problem. But then getting from here to here took a very long time. Basically, you have to take a ferry around here, and then we had to wait around there in kind of a holding pen. It was weird. There was no other tourists. We then had to wait for this random bloke to, I'm going to take all my speedboat. Okay. So on we got, and then 4 hours later, we ended up here. When we rocked up, it looked like that. We thought, oh, this looks lovely. Doesn't it look pretty? And we got on the island, and there was literally nobody there at all. So we thought, I must all be out diving. And then a bloke kind of wandered around. And we're like, oh, where's everyone else? Like, oh, there's nobody else here, it's just you. Yeah. This is not a popular spot. All right. So, so yes, we ended up on this island with literally just the guy who owned the dive shack and his missus. And that was it, apart from on the other side, there was a couple of rangers who were involved in basically conservation of turtles. There's a lot of turtles that were laying their eggs on this island. So they were basically trying to stop poaching. So we rocked up there, and like I say, the reason we wanted to do that is because there was these guys, these Manta Rays were resident there. They had all the things we wanted. There was plankton, there was ridiculously strong currents that was ripping around this island, and it basically meant that you could sit there underwater, and these Manta Rays would just hover there, and you could just kind of cruise along, and there they were. So it was wonderful. However, we did have a slight incident, which I know I've talked to some of you about before. When you're doing very strong current diving, obviously the idea is you go down, you can actually go quite a distance. You don't fight the current, that would be crazy. You use your aim in seconds. Right, but you go with it. Okay, and of course it went with the current. There was me, my wife, and the two guys who own this resort, and we were doing really, really strong current. I mean, really like dodging rocks type. It was strong. And we thought this is a little bit ridiculous. After about half an hour, we're like, we need to come up. This is no good. So we did that, and then when you come up, what you have is you have one of these things. This is a bit of a basic one, to be honest. It's a little bit of a bodge. It's called an SMB. It's a surface marker buoy, and what you do is you use your regulator. You have to do what's known as a safety stop at 5 meters. So this thing has got a line on it that's 5 meters long, and you kind of bob around under the water with that full of air, bobbing on the surface. And of course the boatman can see you, and over they come, and they pick you up, and everyone goes home, and it's fine. So we did that, and up we came. And this is what the island looks like. What we discovered when we came up. So we popped in over here, right, the boat was here, there was one boat. The current was ripping. I mean, you can see there, there's only 1 kilometre, it's not a big island. So we've gone and ended up there, all right? Unfortunately, they checked the current on the surface, and it turned out the current on the surface was going the opposite direction to the current underneath, which does happen, right? So the boat guy thought we were going one way, and we actually went the other way. Now, that coupled with the fact that what we discovered afterwards, the boat had engine trouble, so the boat didn't actually move from there. We'd gone way all the way around here, hopped up around here. The current was basically doing this. Yeah. So up we came, and we were bobbing on the surface. This was at about, I don't know, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Lovely sunshine. Look at your desert island. Everyone's happy, bobbing around. I'm like, yes, it's all right. Just wait for the boat guy. He'll be here in a minute. And then we bobbed a bit more, and the current kind of pushed this way, and it began to be a little less fun. It was still all right. So I took a picture. And there's my wife, and there's the girl who we were with, and the other guy just over here. And you can see the sun is beginning to get low. This is when we started beginning to realise this is not an ideal situation. Because obviously at this point we were really in the middle of nowhere, and the island was very much getting smaller and smaller. The guy who owned the island basically, not the island, the resort, basically said, okay, at this point I'm going to make it go for it. I'm going to go for the land. We're going to try and get the turtle guys out here. Our boat's knackered, and we're going to come back. Which is quite unusual for someone to do that, because you really don't want to be splitting up. But he was confident that he could swim against this current to go and get it. So off he went. We were then left in the darkness. Now, you might be able to see, there's my wife there, that's the other girl over there. This was going to get a bit hairy at this point. This is about 4 hours later now, just bobbing in the middle of the South China Sea. The island was basically, you could see it obviously, there's nothing on there. So we just had darkness bobbing around in the water. However, by good fortune, I, and as you can see the person I was with, had flashes. Now we didn't have torches, but we did have flashes, right? So we would just basically set them off at intervals, and that is actually how they ended up finding us. So the boat had picked up the guy, and then they saw our flashes, and thank God they found us before the batteries ran out on them. So we did get picked up. Now that was a little bit hairy. We did get free beer for the rest of the week, which was good.
Well
Now, stupidly though, that didn't deter me, and I then carried on. That sounds wet, right? Let's do that. So then we quickly went here. Now I'm going to whiz through this because I've just seen that we're about 7 minutes left. So off the coast of Panama is somewhere called Cocos Island. I was very much drawn to this because it was the island they used for filming Jurassic Park. Who wouldn't want to go there? The helicopter, like, oh yeah. All right. I was expecting dinosaurs. There were no dinosaurs. However, it is also known as Shark Island, with basically good reason. I mean, again, I'm not sure what your geography is like, but if you go due south of Cocos, you get to another very famous set of islands. Absolutely, yeah. All right, and you get similar things there. Cocos, you actually get more sharks than Galapagos. All right, but I mean, you get a lot of stuff. So I went there kind of for this reason, really. Oh, that's not that. That's what it looked like above water. So we did a 36-hour boat ride, bang, 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 across the thing, 36 hours, and arrived to see this and thought, this looks a bit not like fun at all. Looks a little bit like, I don't know, Wales. Right, Scotland. Right, it's like, right, this isn't great. However, the reason we went is for these guys. There's a lot of hammerhead sharks there, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. So a lot of these dives, we were there for 12 days, and we were doing 4 dives a day, and on that I think probably we didn't see hammerheads twice, which in the context of diving is ridiculous. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, if you think about the other things I've seen, these are difficult things to find, let alone cover.
How big would they be, Joe?
How big?
Yeah.
3 meters maybe?
Yeah.
2, 3 meters? Yeah. I mean, as well as hammerheads, we also saw, I mean, hammerheads were the big draw, but there was also Galapagos sharks, which are about the same sort of size. They look a little bit like small grey whites. They had tiger sharks, we saw a couple of. You get a lot of white-tip reef sharks there as well. Whale sharks you occasionally get as well. I mean, they have a lot of stuff there. All the kind of famous pictures. I mean, that picture was kind of what got me into diving, really. That was what, you see the Attenborough things. Yeah. And to actually get to do it was awesome. Anyway, so that's what kind of why we went. These guys, these guys get pretty close, but just briefly, I'll just talk a little bit about photography now, because again, this is a very wide-angle shot. Now, sometimes when you're taking pictures of these things, you don't get a lot of chance to faff around with settings. I don't know if anyone's photographers here, but if you want to get a nice picture, you have to get this, yeah, get your aperture, get your shutter speed, and when these things are fizzing around you, it's not necessarily easy. And actually, that picture started off like this. Which is a lot, I don't know, it doesn't actually show how bad it is on there, but you get a lot, can you see there's a lot of what's called backscatter? Yeah? Now the setup that I tend to use, this is a kind of smallish one, alright? This is what I use, so I've got a wide angle lens that you strap on the front, which looks like a dome, and this is what you want to get as close as you can to your subject. And if you want to take decent pictures, you need a flash on an arm. The reason you can't use your flash that's directly here is because what happens is the flash basically goes straight out and bounces straight back. So all the little water particles, anything that's in the water, because you know, every bit of seawater's got stuff in it, right? It reflects straight back, and you get all of these tiny, horrible little bits of kind of, yeah, they just all reflected light. And actually that one's not too bad, but a lot of pictures, especially when you're starting out, you will find that photographers tend to get huge amounts of backscatter. And even when you've got a flash like this, if you start pointing like that, which is what your gut instinct is to do, you still get bing, bing, yeah? Right, so what you have to do is you actually have to angle your flash. So if you have people, a lot of people have their flashes looking like that, which looks like they're crazy. All right, but actually you want to just touch it with the edge of the beam. And when you do that, you get a lot less backscatter. And that kind of applies to doing pictures with snorkeling and stuff as well. All right, you want to try and basically not get that backscatter by not directing the flash directly at the subject. Anyway, that's a whole different world, which we could go into, but we're not going to. So clearly, as you can see, Photoshop can very much be your friend. And you know, I don't do a huge amount of photoshopping, but that looked like it was worth cleaning up to me. All right, so that ended up looking like that. Right, now, I'm not going to show all of this video, but I will just give you a quick idea of actually what it was like down there, because the guy who I was with on the boat actually was doing video at the time. I think, oh yeah, I'll make this very quick. So, for the Cocos Island, and for a lot of this stuff, let's just turn that down a bit so I can yak over it. You have to do what's called negative entry. I don't know if you saw over the side of the boat there. Basically, you dive back in and you have to kick straight down so the current doesn't whip you away. But there was a lot of there's a lot of hammerheads kicking about. And the reason that they're there, you can kind of see this one, right? They've got these kind of, all this scarring on the side. You see this anglerfish coming up, right? Basically, they have these little fish, and they come on, they just pick at all their little scars, pick up all the parasites. They come in on a kind of daily basis, so you pretty much know they're there. That's actually the shot that I was showing you, that we put up top. And then you get these huge schools like this coming in, which is, yeah, kind of a reason for chewing your ear very quickly. Right, but it's very, very cool.
So, one of those ever attack you?
No. I've never had any issues. These are the galapagos ones I was talking about. This is a mildly interesting clip because normally you're talking about sharks attacking. Generally the deal with sharks is you can tell what they're like because if you look at their pectoral fins, you can kind of have a look at the angle. Now this guy here is getting a bit lively. If you see his fins start going down, this one here chilled out. You see he's got like nice flat fins. He comes pretty close, just cruises in, no worries.
So that's
right?
a distinguishing feature then.
Yeah,
As soon as they go down.
as soon as you start seeing the classic ones are arch back, fins down. Now you can see this one here. Yeah, it's starting getting a bit frisky.
Yeah,
So at this point, we were kind of thinking right, and we kind of went upwards at that point.
Because there was a chance that they might.
Unlikely. I mean, the guy we were with, somebody who'd been out there all year, was a bit like, well, I'm not really sure about this behaviour, so we just thought we'd get out just in case. Oh right, okay, yeah. Now they also do night dives there, which is mildly terrifying on the briefing. So you go down. The reason you do night dives is because you get to see these sort of size now, little chunks. Right, so you go and get to see little white tip reef sharks. But on the briefing they tell you, remember I told you have to sort of do the same stuff at 5 metres? Obviously in the inky black water, that's mildly terrifying. That's where you go. Basically they all feed at night, so you'll go a bit crazy. So the guy's like, yeah, these sharks are fine. But you have to make sure when you shine your light, you see the little glints in their eyes. Yeah, that's fine. It's like if the glints are this far apart, it's like be a bit worried because that's what it is as a tiger shark about. You want to be a bit careful. Not quite as hilarious as the briefing I got when we were in South Africa, which was you can go snorkeling with these sharks. If a tiger shark comes up, plant your hand on its nose and push it away, which is a very South African attitude to anything really, similar to the Australian. Yeah, fine, deal with it. Right, very last thing, and this will be the last one. I did have a few bits and other pieces more, but the last one I want to show you is one of the key things about the photography and videography as well. By the way, this is my high-tech rig for video. I think it cost me 12 quid from being here. Make your own, always. All right, there's a couple of pipes and you can just screw your GoPro on. One of the key things that you're always told from everyone is basically get as close as you can, because as close as you can get to your subject, yeah, the less, if you're taking pictures, backscatter you'll get, and the less basically interference you'll get in the water if you're doing video, which is all well and good. However, occasionally it goes wrong. I think I showed you this one, didn't I? Occasionally it goes wrong. I've got a little, various things, about a minute montage of videos that I've taken where I've tried to follow that, but it's failed. So the first one is a Manta Ray. You'll see it. Yeah, it got a bit closer than I thought. Second one, I took a video of a whale shark. It didn't really know I was there, to be honest, as you'll also see. Then there's a nice little shark, and you can hear the dunk as it hits the lens. And the final one is there's a little croc that I was taking a video of. This thing did have, where's it gone? That did have a lens protector on the front there, which should have. Unfortunately, that's cracked because the croc had hold of it. So I don't have that anymore. So you'll see a little picture of that. So yeah, that's the one. That's all those sharp pics I was going to talk about. We have the time, sadly. So there we go. This is what happens if you do get too close. And these are all with the wide angle GoPro, of course, so they are. That thing's about 7 or 8 meters long.
Didn't push that one away then, Joe.
Yeah. That's what you use the lens for. Rather use that than my hand. This is the guy who took the video